Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you my story, how I started a poultry farm just about a year ago with very limited experience, in fact zero experience and very limited resources. So if you would like to know and get inspired and know how I started this poultry farm, please stay with me. I'm going to walk just outside and I'm going to tell my story from just over there because as you can hear there's a lot of noise here. So please stay with me and let's get inspired together. So it's quite loud inside the chicken house, so I decided to sit just outside here and share my story with you, and maybe I might be able to inspire someone, a young person out there thinking about starting poultry farming or anything else. Please also click the like button and comment below and tell me what you think about it. If you have any ideas or if you have any questions, I'm willing to answer. So please comment below and I'll be involved. So you might be thinking, why on earth did I do poultry farming? Well, it was never my first choice. As you might know, I'm a practicing medical doctor. So when I finished my medical degree, after about 1 year of working, I decided I really need to start a business, something to get an extra income. So I zeroed down on greenhouse farming. So I tried to look over the internet, Facebook and everything, and looked for people who are experts in greenhouse farming. Then I managed to get an expert in greenhouse farming, someone who had done trainings for a lot of people all over the country. I met him, made an appointment, and we discussed a lot of things. He gave me a lot of information, but then after everything, he advised me that I should do poultry farming. So I was thinking, an expert at greenhouse farming is telling me to do poultry farming? Well, it should make a lot of sense. So I went, tried to do a lot of research, looked on the internet, looked on the videos. They don't give you too much information, but they give you some information. Looked on the videos on YouTube, looked on the internet online, then asked a few friends, then tried to find a few people who had poultry farms. I managed to get a person who had around 200 layer chickens. So I went over to his farm. He gave me quite some information about poultry farming, and well, I zeroed down that I think it's a good idea. So I decided I'm going to start chickens, and well, the availability began. So for the first week, I slept inside the chicken house each and every day. I slept inside the chicken house. I had to make sure that during the brooding everything goes all right. So during my brooding I lost very few chickens, probably 15 or something like that, and for most of them it was because of naivety. Most of them fell inside the fire when I didn't know what to do. I later figured out what I needed to do, but they didn't die because of disease or things like that. I'm sorry about the heating. They're trying to do some works on the poultry house, which I'm going to be sharing with you guys later on in another video. But I want to expand, bring more chickens above, and I'll be sharing with you my expansion later on. But just a few of them died. I was around. I had to make sure the temperatures are okay, the heat is okay, the drinking, the water is there, the feeds are there, and I went through the brooding very well. Then there comes the first few months. So first month, second month of feeding the chickens, it wasn't very hard. When I brought in the chickens, the feeds were quite expensive. I got the estimations of prices of feeds from a friend who had kept chickens, but she brought in her chickens when the price of maize was quite mixed. Using a friend's value, I never knew that the markets vary that much. The prices of the maize vary that much. Well, in my case, it was too expensive. But I never felt it too much during the first 1 to 2 months. Then in the third, fourth month, that's when I started dancing to the tune. Yeah, the chickens were eating a lot of feeds. The prices of the maize were very high, and I found it very hard. I had to go into the deep villages to try to get maize at a cheaper price, which worked for me. So then I had to find ways of getting water at really cheap prices, because where I stay I don't have piped water, and then I want to dig a borehole, but that's quite expensive. So right now I couldn't dig a borehole, so I had to get someone to always go to a borehole, a community borehole, and get a lot of water. And the chickens were drinking around 25 jerry cans of water. That's around 50 liters per day, which is quite a lot, but well, I had no option. They brought in the water, they brought in the feeds. Then it got to the 4.5 month when the chickens were supposed to start laying. They didn't lay. 5th month, they didn't lay. They started laying at around 5.5 months, that's around 22 weeks. For chickens that are supposed to start laying at 18 weeks, that's quite weird. And well, I later found out that the problem was with the feeding. So during the first few months while I was raising them, while I knew that the feeding was important, I didn't know exactly how important it was. So I was mixing the feeds myself in order to cut costs, but then I wasn't doing it very well because I wasn't experienced. So the nutrients and everything was not good enough, so the chickens delayed to lay. And remember, the prices of feeds are very expensive, so it was quite hard for me. But well, after 22 weeks, I got my first egg. And after that, it was an upward curve. For 1 whole month, the number of eggs kept increasing and increasing and increasing. And after exactly 1 month of laying, the laying stopped. Well, it didn't stop, but it started cutting. It started going down and going down and going down. So I went into a circle of trying to figure out what's wrong. I tried to do everything right. Gave them the vitamins, changed the water, changed everything. And after about 3 weeks of a lot of stress and trying to figure out what's wrong, I noticed that the problem was the soya that I was using to mix the feeds. So I changed the soya, brought in new soya, and the chickens started picking up. So they picked up and they picked up and they went back to what they were laying originally. It wasn't still perfect, but they went back. They reached around 75% laying, which was good enough at that moment to give me a profit, but still not perfect. Then what happened is that I traveled. I went somewhere else and yeah, I left someone in charge of the poultry farm. And then began the downward spiral. So while I was away, the person did everything that they wanted. I don't know if they were selling the eggs or if they were taking the money. I don't know. What I know is that the laying came down and came down and came down. And by the time I came back after about 1 month of holiday time off, the chickens had reduced their laying to around 30%. They were very malnourished. They looked like they were going to die. They looked like they were walking skeletons. They were not eating the feeds. By the time I left, I was giving my chicken around 100 kilograms of feed per day. By the time I came back, we were giving them 85 kilograms, and even that, they were not finishing strong. But when I came back, I changed the feeds, and the chickens started laying again. So I so far fired 2 workers, and both of them, it was because they were stealing my eggs. And right now, I can say I'm doing well. They lay on average about 20.5 to 21 trays per day. And remember, I have around 750, between 750 and 770 chickens. I'm really not certain. I plan on counting them soon. Yeah. But that gives me around 86%, between 85 and 86% of laying after about 6 months of laying, which is not bad. 7 or 8 months of laying, which is not quite bad. That means I'm getting around 40% profit on what I sell, and that is quite a good return. So what have I learned from all this? Number one, you need to be available. All the times that the chickens cut their production, it's because I wasn't available. The other thing that I learned is that you don't need experience to become successful. I had 0 experience in poultry farming, but right now I could call myself successful. My chickens haven't died. A lot of people, when I was going to start out, were telling me, hey, the chickens will die, that thing is very sensitive, the chickens will die, the chickens will stop laying eggs. But yeah, the chickens do stop laying eggs, but the reason they stop laying eggs is because of something. Most importantly, because of the feeds or because they are sick. So if you can put in place the preventative measures and learn everything that you need to learn, the way that you need to learn it, you can try to avoid the deaths, you can try to avoid the diseases. I haven't had any diseases in my poultry farm. The farm is making around 1 year. I haven't had any sickness. So if you take the right lessons, you can do well. The reason I started this YouTube channel, it's because when I was looking around for information, I didn't have a lot of info. I had to look here and there, but then I want you to have a one-stop center where you can find all the information you need if you want to start a poultry channel. So you can always come back to this channel. I'm going to be sharing with you even exact figures. I'm not afraid to share with you how much money I'm making every day. I'm not afraid to share with you how much money I'm making every month, if I'm getting losses or not, because I want someone out there to be inspired. I want you to get the courage. I want the fear to be cast out of your heart. I want you to know that you can make it. The other thing is about the resources. The resources are important, but they're not as important as people glorify them to be, yeah? The structure can always be improvised. There are $1 million structures, but I didn't start a $1 million structure, yeah? There are people who construct structures that have very high roofs, that are from here to there, that are made out of, textbook writing. But that's not the most important thing. I'm not saying it's not important. That's what I aspire to, yeah? Over the next probably 3 to 5 years, I'm going to have a very big structure with very many birds. But right now, when you're starting, you can improvise. You can construct a structure out of timber. You can construct a structure out of iron sheets. The most important thing is that you observe the rules, the aeration, the spacing. If you can do that, you can use whatever material. Then the other thing, the feeders, the drinkers, all those things can be improvised. So resourcefulness is way more important than resources. So I hope over there you get inspired.